Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first roundtable. Unfortunately, it's just me and OP Blair today. The few of our other guests had to cancel, but I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be a great time. This is Retro Horror Presents the Tabletop Roundtable. So, why don't you introduce yourself, Blair?
Hi, my name is Blair, at the OP Blair on Twitter. Um, I create TTRPG content, currently mostly NPCs. You can find one of those on my Ko-fi, links on my Twitter. Um, and also I like to play video games, talk about comic books, nerdy things. And also, I randomly rant about how horrible it is to live with autism as a non-binary person in America. So, neat.
So, just so you know, we're friends now. This is a threat, not an option.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you video games, TTRPGs, comic books. I
Yes,
mean, you checked every box of we're now friends.
that's fine. I have so few friends, like you have no idea.
Like we just started chatting one day on Twitter. I was like, this person is awesome. I must
Yes.
follow them.
Well,
And then Twitter refreshed, and I was like, great. I got to scroll through like 1,000 messages.
right. Yeah, because Twitter is like that. Because, we can't have nice things on Twitter when we want them.
No, like I found you, and then I was like, wait, I was just chatting with them. Where'd they go? Scroll.
I just disappeared into the ether along with the rest of the TTRPG content.
Because then it was just filled with, because I support some indie gamers.
Hmm.
It was Indie Game Tuesday when we
Ah,
first
yes,
started
of course.
chatting, and I was like, oh no, it's Indie Game Tuesday, and all the indie creators are awake right now.
Right, yes. Is the perfect hour of the day for everyone to just go, yes, hi, I make stuff.
And I got tagged so many times that day. I was like, no, I'm looking for one person. The rest of you can wait.
Right, yes.
Like, not to be rude to anyone who's watching, if I don't get back to you, if you tag me
Right.
in something, I'm not ignoring you. It's just I have process. I prefer going back to like my oldest tags and
Right.
answering them
Yeah.
first, so everyone doesn't like people feel because I me. I'm big on inclusivity.
Right, absolutely. And so that's kind of the other thing. This is actually be good practice for me because there's another podcast that was like, "Hey, we might possibly want you on," and I'm like, "Great."
That's awesome. I'll make sure I listen.
I'm like, "All right, let me just fucking make sure on as many streams and podcasts as fucking possible before that happens to fucking try to prepare myself for."
Well, it's like
Totally.
I told Kevin Hope's um, Discord. Best thing to do is just be yourself, just relax. Like I love doing these kind of things because I'm very chill. I've been doing this since 2009, so
Oh wow. Yeah. So
I,
um
I I remember my first ever podcast. I was it was uh, a D&D podcast where we were streaming ourselves playing. I was so nervous, and then uh, actually group who I'm a fan of is actually somebody from a podcast called Welcome to St. Paxton listened to us and reached out to me and was like, "Hey, relax.
relax, man.
Like, love your content, but you
Oh,
seem so high strung." It's
right.
like,
Yeah, well, I was so I was actually on a different round table before, like a year ago, year and a half ago, something like that, on the How I Nerd channel.
ooh,
Um, and like the round table was fine. I had a good time. The people at the round table were great. It was um the the fans in the Discord channel. that kind of got to me, that were like, um, really not fans of criticism of the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, okay. Um, Not great, but all right.
like
um,
it's that's the I personally will always accept criticism. I posted a few things up
right. And
and
I understand. So their complaint was that I wasn't complaining in the right place. And I'm like, well, okay, fine. But you could have just said, hey, maybe move this to this place instead of, jumping down my throat with like 2 or 3 paragraphs of, you know,
uh,
you're in the wrong place. And I'm like, well, okay, great. But anyway, sorry.
like
It's
the
like I'm
like
still a little bitter about that because like I'm like, who the fuck does that? Like who lets their Discord fans do that? Like
I would not if any of the fans of uh you know retro horror and my channel and D3 and Gemma's channels would do that. We would just be like, nope, we don't want you in our community. Sorry.
right, yeah. No
Like
kidding.
I've looked at your NPCs and I love just the detail that you put into them.
Thank you.
That they are. I've actually earlier today. I'm in a group on Facebook called Grogs Who Play Fifth, where I got a lot of my questions today from like our talking points. And one of them was like, I need an NPC like yesterday
Uh-huh.
for a dragon.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I know someone who can get you that. Here you go.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of people were like, oh, you should check this site and this site. And they were all official, like Wizards of the Coast paid modules.
Uh-huh.
And like, I'm a broke college kid.
Yeah, for real.
I need it like for my, they needed it for their class actually.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, check out my friend. And like, they
Granted.
messaged me like, you saved my bacon
Oh, good.
because
I'm glad they liked it.
their their assignment was they had to go out and find an independent creator
Uh-huh.
and bring an NPC from an indie creator to class, but they aren't on Twitter. They're only on Facebook, and Facebook's not the best way to
No.
like market indie creators.
No, not really. It's Facebook is becoming an echo chamber very quickly.
Yeah, like I see the same 20, 30 messages every day from
That's why I
different
don't have
people.
Facebook.
I just I
Actually,
just I have it only for like 4 nerd groups. Otherwise,
right.
I avoid it.
Well, and I realize at some point as I get larger as a content creator and stuff, I'm going to have to eventually go back to Facebook. I am not looking forward to that.
Just
I
do what I did. Make a page,
Right,
and then you can control the content that goes there.
right. Exactly. And it's just I've the repeated data breaches with Facebook is
Oh
just
god, they're
like,
ridiculous.
and so, but unfortunately, at it, um, the fucking cell phone company that I go through, T-Mobile, also had one, a very large one recently, and so I'm kind of like, well, what am I doing? Like avoiding Facebook now at this point.
Yeah, their new security update fragged my old phone.
Oh,
They
neat.
also stopped support. My phone was still under warranty. They stopped supporting my phone,
Oh yeah, they'll do that. They'll just randomly do that.
and I was like, "Did was I made aware of this? Oh, well, you're in your upgrade period."
Hey, so what version of the Galaxy was that?
It was the S11
Oh,
that just got stopped. They stopped support in March.
yeah, they literally just stopped supporting that. Yeah, mine is the basic S20.
That's what I ended up going to. So like you can upgrade for free, or you can
Yeah.
finance like an S30. You know, like
I'm like, no.
the tablet size
Yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Like,
I'm like, no.
um,
Yeah, they tried to upsell me to the S21, and I'm like, no, I don't need a $1,000 phone in my pocket.
you know,
Thanks.
like oh, but it's only a $340 down payment. I'm like,
I don't have $20 to down payment. Thank
like,
you.
I'm an indie content creator.
Yeah,
Also, I'm a veteran, and I get this nice, discount through you guys. Why are you trying to upsell me on a phone that's the size of my face?
right. Right. What am I gonna do? Like when I get a phone call on this tablet,
Like,
like
am
am I
I?
supposed to hold it to my face?
Do I
Like,
gotta use both hands?
like
You get
am I
it?
supposed am I supposed to do speakerphone the whole time? Like everybody everybody butt in on my conversations, Great. Awesome. That sounds great.
Well, I do want to mention the folks who are watching this VOD. If you go to the links below, you're going to find all of Blair's links.
Yes.
Definitely check
Yes.
them out because they
Thank
have
you.
like we interact more on Discord than on Twitter because I've been not on Twitter as much the past few days. Had to take a little mental health break because I was like,
Everybody needs one.
yeah, it's like it's getting kind of mostly because people I were following were tweeting politics stuff, and I'm not there for
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Like,
Which
no.
I am unfortunately included among those people, and I apologize.
But you weren't one of them, though. You
Oh,
weren't.
okay, good.
You weren't. You weren't. The thing is, I'm a vet, so there are certain things that kind of hit close to home. They're
Fair enough.
attacking veterans,
Ah, yeah, no, I don't do that.
and I was like, "Well, I'm going." Last night before I went to bed, it's like, as I added them all to a private list, I'm going on a block spree before I go to bed because if you can't
Yeah,
respect me for being a content creator and a veteran, then how are you going to respect my friends
right.
who are
Exactly.
like? And one person I ended up blocking today was going after disabled gamers. It was like, oh, I thought you were a nice
Right.
person.
Yeah,
Nope.
what the hell?
I'm not
Dude,
gonna. I'm not gonna mention their name because I don't want them to get
right.
any followers. But just that
Yeah, like
saying we
every
don't
every
bring your inclusivity
right.
into my game. Like,
What?
I,
Dude,
I
everybody deserves to play role-playing games.
yeah, I wanted to tell them I've been playing this game since before you were born, son.
Right? Yeah. Like what are you, 14?
like
12? Like
like there are people in this sphere who've been playing this game since before I were born who are amazing and are just
yeah,
let's be inclusive. Actually, that
right.
was one of the topics somebody actually brought up to me is like, what do you think about inclusivity in tabletop? And I personally think like I love the combat wheelchair. That
Yeah, that's 100% awesome. Like I
like
don't understand why people have a problem with that.
like in the 2E days, there was actually injuries.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, yeah, it hinders you. And
Yeah.
me as a disabled person, I'm like, there are days where I'm in so much pain I can barely walk. That
Right.
hinders me.
Right.
If I want to role play
Exactly.
that, shouldn't I be allowed?
Right. So
Hmm.
the argument that I hear a lot uh that people who are against that sort of thing make is that, well, it's a fantasy world where everyone's healthy all the time and no one has to suffer. And I'm like, okay, great, but if I'm making the choice to actively make my character this way, I should be allowed to do that.
Exactly. It's your choice, your character.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. It
like,
doesn't matter that, these things don't technically exist, and I'm using air quotes here, but nobody can see that. Um,
I'm just gonna figure out a way to edit in air quotes for going forward with these. Just
you know, you know, and so it's like, okay, fine, but how do you explain like old infirm people?
Mhm.
Like how do you explain people who were maybe not born healthy? Like, some of the most memorable characters in Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms are like sickly dudes who have massive amounts of power.
Yeah, like
You know, Raceland.
the what was he called? The heir of Bahamut back in before the Dragon Queen series came out. The
Right.
guy who was his head priest needed to use a cane.
Right. Yeah.
like it was written in there that
So
he suffered a dexterity check because of his
right,
cane, but he also had so much magic that to attack him was dumb.
yeah, it was literally stupid to attack him. Like, so there are actually um two stat blocks for Raceland Majir from Dragonlance. One is before he became the avatar of evil or whatever the hell. I can't remember what. He became super powerful at some point. But one was when he was young as a red robe wizard, and he was like kind of but still kind of nothing to sneeze at. And then the other stat block was basically when he'd become demigod of magic. And I'm like, either one of these I would be, absolutely shaking in my boots, you know.
But I see so
But
much.
he has this debilitating, like, so in order to gain the power that he has later, um actually no, to pass the test in order to become a mage, he became sickly. Like, the test drained him of his youth and vitality in order to give him massive amounts of power.
There's a
And so he has this like hacking cough that makes him hack up blood and shit. He has to walk around with his staff. Like, his quote unquote younger twin brother looks like his son at this point.
like it's existed.
Yeah, it you know
Accessibility has existed in TTRPGs since before we were both born.
exactly.
But for some reason, with five, what it started with 4E, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately 4E was really,
It was crunchy. It had
yeah, there were a lot
crunch.
of yeah, there were a lot of things wrong with it, unfortunately, but there was also a lot more right with it than people would like to admit, I think.
Yeah, like I liked that it added a um action system
Yes.
that made like people like the combat took so long. It's like no, the parties you
Right.
were playing with were strategic and didn't just want to rush in
Right.
and die. Because it went
Right.
back to 2E with that. 2E, you had
Yeah.
four actions a turn. You had your attack action, your move action, your bonus action, your free action.
Mhm.
4E brought that back.
Yeah, 4E brought that back.
5E
And
got rid of
so
it.
the other problem with 4E that I hear a lot of people complain about was the fact that it felt like too much of an MMORPG. And I'm like, of course it did. That's what was popular at the time.
That's
Hell,
what.
WoW had a TTRPG at the time. Like, they put out a D20 system for their freaking goddamn franchise.
I actually reviewed that. It. I was
And
a playtester. It was not good, but not bad.
yeah, it was mediocre. I mean, it was obviously a cash grab,
Yeah, like the
you know.
storylines they wrote were just
Yeah,
ripped right from the video games.
right, exactly, because that's what people wanted, quote unquote. Again, you know. Um, but let's not talk any more about Blizzard, shall we?
Yeah,
But
after your one tweet, I just don't support them anymore. I actually,
yeah,
I
um,
pre-ordered a new Diablo game that I no longer pre-ordered
good.
after
Yeah,
you revealed what was going on there. It's like, oh, look at this, cancel pre-order.
yeah, yeah. Don't support that horrible company anymore. And also, do not support Activision. Like,
Mm-mm. I deleted all their games from my computer and my
yeah,
Xbox and my PS4.
that's basically what I did. I uninstalled everything that was associated with them, like,
Like
even remotely.
I almost got the new Aliens game, and then I saw it was an Activision publication.
Yeah, no.
A friend gifted it to me, and I was like, until they get their house in order, I cannot play this with you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Like,
Nope.
it'd be such a
And
fun
there's
stream. Like,
yeah, and so there's still people that play Overwatch, and I'm like, why? How? You do you people hate like
do you not
fucking women and like
not just women, but people who are, marginalized?
right, yeah,
Like I a white presenting person, but I'm
right,
also native.
fair
I
enough.
look white. Neither of my parents do.
That's fair.
So, like when I hear marginalized groups are getting attacked
Right,
by a big company,
yeah,
and I know I might lose viewers for this, but I got to share what I think. I think those companies are in the wrong,
exactly. They're 100% in the wrong.
and I think they need to get their house in order and say we're doing a bad thing. But what do they say? We're gonna release like Nabisco with their Pokemon cookies.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's a sore point for me. When I saw that on Twitter the other day,
yeah, I actually only caught part of what that was about.
they partnered with Niantic
Uh-huh.
to make Pokemon themed cookies that you can
Right,
collect them all,
right.
but it's only
Seems
the base, like your all the starters.
uh-huh. I see.
But it's not ever like if you buy a box of those cookies, there's a chance.
Right, it's not
I heard,
guaranteed.
yeah,
So that's what people are okay. Gotcha.
that and they are doing it to try breaking up the strike because they're like,
Oh, right. Right, right,
we'll
right, right, right.
we'll
Yes.
hire scabs. They actually
Yeah.
sued a railroad company. I'm like, "Ugh." But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about
Right, yeah.
TTRPGs.
Right.
But what is
Yeah, we're
what?
getting on topic here.
Yeah, sorry, that happens to me sometimes when I get passionate about
Yep,
something.
same. Don't worry. This will happen a lot.
What is your favorite TTRPG?
Um, so I would honestly have to say, out of all of the TTRPGs that I have personally played or seen played or run, um, probably the DC Heroes Mayfair TTRPG. I loved the shit out of that game. I only know about it because one of my exes had the books, like the actual physical books in her possession, and she ran it for uh, me and a couple of our friends. And oh my god, it was so much fun.
You have just solidified our friendship even more because I have all those books.
Oh my god, I would so love to play in that system again. Like
I
it
I
was
have
so much fun.
them physical, and I found someone who had the PDFs because they went and scanned them in.
Oh my god, I both love and hate them for that because I know what that takes.
Yeah, I've done it before. They had a book scanner, and they had
Mhm.
to because those books were staple backed.
Yeah.
They were saddle stitch staples, so
hmm
they had to remove the staples carefully.
hmm
Every page is perfect.
Oh my god, that must have taken
And
forever.
I'm like scanning each page. It takes like 10 minutes a page, and it's a
Yeah,
60. Each book is like 64 pages.
at least.
Like
Yeah,
the core book is 218. I
yeah.
cannot imagine that. I don't have that kind of patience. I don't think
Nope.
like I can design a dice jail, dice cup, dice. No problem. I
Mhm.
got patience for that. You want me to stand in front of a printer or a scanner and watch it for 10 minutes a page? I'm throwing in a podcast. I'm bringing up a comfy chair. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah, for real.
Because
We're gonna
that
be here a minute.
that that like average 10 minutes a page. That's like 2,000
Yeah, no,
hours they spent.
that's insane. I could not imagine doing that.
They
You
it
would have
was
to take breaks. Like you would have to take breaks. You would have to do like 20 pages and then
yeah
like the
20.
next day 20 pages, you know?
That would be me. I'm doing 20
Yeah,
pages today.
right,
They
yeah.
they did it at their university, and
Oh
then
my god.
they reached out to me via Twitter actually, and were like, "Hey, we were in a thread together, and you mentioned that you had these books. I have the PDFs I scanned in for personal use. Can I send them you a link?"
Yes, that is always my response to people who are like, "Here, have this TTRPG link." I'm like, "Yes, please."
I'm like, "Yeah, that would be great." you want me to give you a shout out or anything? Because they had like
Right.
0 followers. And
Right.
like, no, this is a shadow account. I'm deleting it when I'm done.
Huh.
I just thought that, you would like these books. I'm like, that's so nice. The
It's awesome.
TTRPG family it's, I left Twitter a couple years ago when the TTRPG community got toxic.
Oh yeah.
I came back to find this amazing TTRPG family, like Hope and Penguin, and you guys you're all so fantastic. You all are amazing people.
Well, I try.
And you're true to yourselves though.
Yeah. Well,
It,
I mean, I spent a lot of years not being that way. And so and it almost killed me. And
mm,
so that was kind of I was like, okay, no more of that.
hey, I'm glad though that you're true to yourself because that's why we're friends.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Yeah.
I saw
And
that you were being true to you, and I was like, this person's awesome.
yes, I try to be anyways.
I
Like,
told
so the thing about that is like, yes, I am awesome, but also I can be extremely terrible.
well, I mean, we all can be. We we in the community choose not to be our worst selves, though.
That is that is true.
Look, when you mentioned you love comics, favorite comic?
Um, it's a tie between Teen Titans and the original Young Justice comic with uh Tim Drake, Robin, and Impulse
Oh,
and Superboy.
did you hear they're bringing it back?
Yes, they did actually.
Oh, I missed it.
Um, so it's part of the recent DC reboot, whatever. I can't remember what the hell it's called now.
Like,
Um,
they keep there's like 4 of them, so it's okay if
yeah,
you can't remember because there's like
right. Yeah,
DC white label,
I
DC black label.
yeah,
There,
I can't keep track of anything anymore because they like to do it too much, like even more than Marvel does, which is weird. Um,
Marvel. We have the X-Men, the new X-Men, the future X-Men,
right. Yeah. X of Swords, Dawn of X.
Excalibur.
Yeah.
It's like,
Although, fuck you, Excalibur is a good comic and a
oh
good
yeah,
team.
I love the arc they did where the crossover with Deadpool.
Yeah.
That was a great
Um,
arc. It caught me in the
I
feels.
I like the original Excalibur team with Phoenix, uh Rachel Summers.
Yes.
That was a good run of Excalibur. Um, Everything after that's kind of hit or miss, but that was definitely like the golden age of that team for me. Um, but again, that's Marvel. But as far as DC goes, um, again, Young Justice, Teen Titans is basically like the gold standard. Oh, and Legion of Superheroes. I almost forgot about them, which is pretty common, unfortunately.
I do enjoy Legion of Superheroes. They actually had a game at one point.
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, it was kind of terrible.
That was okay. Back in West End Games tried making it, but they were specialized in D6.
Yeah,
They
and
tried
so
they tried making a D8 game and they flopped.
yeah, it was not good. I liked the idea behind it. It was a good idea, but they could have done so much better with that system.
If it were based on D6, I think it would
No,
have
the
done better, or even D20. It could have done better.
D10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would have been perfect for D10 just from the stat blocks alone they made.
So because the fucking DC Heroes game was D10. That was 2D10
Yeah,
for everything.
it worked great.
It worked perfectly.
It was fun.
And yeah, it was great. And I'm still to this day, I'm like, West End Games, why did you not do that? Like, it was right there.
I mean, they had license to the Marvel game, and their D6 Marvel game was. I hate to say this because I'm a huge fan of D6. D6 does not work with a superhero game.
No, it does not. That's what
Like
I'm saying.
with Fate,
D6, yeah.
Fate made it work. but that's because Evil Hat Productions. I actually interviewed back in the day a bunch of developers from them. They know what they're doing.
Right.
But
I'm
Wested Games D6 Marvel is so cringe.
yeah. I am just not a fan of D6 in general because I unfortunately have bad memories of Shadowrun and Star Wars Phase Rip.
Ooh,
Eh.
Star Wars Phase Rip was so bad.
um,
I'm a hashtag D6 for life fan just because I had great memories of Shadowrun. I ran it for like 5 years on a stream, but
fair enough.
I had really great players though.
Oh, yeah, so that helps. Yeah.
Like I had creative people who weren't just like, oh, we're gonna do what the book says, but like, can I do
Yeah, no.
this?
Oh my God. So I had one DM each for a Shadowrun game and a Star Wars D6 game. And each both of them ran almost exactly the same way. They wanted to do things exactly by the book. There was no arguing. There was no, like house ruling or anything. It was all, it must be this way, and hell with you if you don't like this. And I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes.
That leads to the next question that somebody had asked of what was your worst DM GM experience?
Oh man, I could go into a recent one, but I probably shouldn't.
Hey,
Um,
you can do whatever you want, friend. This is
um,
open space.
so
We don't judge here.
yeah, so I'm gonna go back to probably about, I want to say I was 19 or 20, and I was me and some friends were wanting to roll, and one of them had bought the Riffs base book.
Good book.
Um, it's a good book. I love the Riffs system when I can understand it.
That's the problem.
Right, yeah,
Understanding it.
yeah. Um, so um, he had read through, I think he said he'd read through like 70% of it after he had bought it, and he was like, okay, I think I can run this. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's all try and do this. And oh my fucking god, it was the absolute worst role-playing session I had ever been in my goddamn life. um, because he just, it felt like I understood the rules better than he did, even though I had only read like the player creation part, the character creation part of the book. And I'm like, oh no. That was probably the shortest role-playing group I was ever a part of, because it pretty much only lasted one session.
That sounds like an experienced GM who didn't want to, excuse me,
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah,
Like,
it was an experience, that's for sure. Um, Definitely not the most damaging, I would say, of the bad experiences I've had as a player, but that was definitely like the first one. Um, Probably the worst one was we were role playing in World of Darkness, and it was vampire. And that shit can get dark.
yeah, I've had to step away from a few of those games due to
And
my own
yeah,
issues.
yeah. My ST at the time did not bother to warn anybody that they were going to involve Bali. And I'm like, dude, you have you have to content warn people about this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just throw Bali in like this. No, dude, this is not cool.
No, like
Like,
I don't know if you saw the thread that who was Spicy put up
mhm.
about that person who was like, "This is how to traumatize your players."
Right.
and
Yeah.
I freaked out on it. I was like, no, like
Yeah. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I
Please. Do not
joke
do that.
that I traumatize my players with normal hallway.
Mhm.
It's a joke. It's not like they're not traumatized. We still play together when we can. Like
Right.
they joked at the end of the stream, we're never playing with you again, and the next week we're back on stream together.
Right.
But
It's like Team Rocket blasting off at the end of the episode, you know?
yeah, we're blasting off again. But
Right, yeah.
I I've never blocked someone on YouTube before.
Yeah.
I used to like that channel because they had some great tips. I didn't just block them on YouTube. I blocked them on Twitter too.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
if that's their thoughts of this is okay to not warn your players, like, hey,
You know,
there's some issues coming up. Is this
right. Yeah.
okay?
It's like, no, no, it's not. And,
Like
you know,
I blocked someone right before our recording here because they said there's no need to have safety tools in TTRPGs.
what?
Like, nope. I don't like blocking people because I feel like they could learn, but I look through their timeline and that's just their big point of it's
Right.
all for fun. You can't get hurt. Mental
Oh
trauma
my
still
God.
hurts.
Yeah. So that's like an adult role-playing website saying that it's okay for certain things to happen on there because it's all fictional.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
There
I'm like,
are limits.
yes. At least there should be.
If you set a line, like if you were in one of my games, Blair, and you said, "Hey, I don't like spiders,"
Right. Which
guess
I
what?
don't.
Guess what would never show up in that game
That would be
because
awesome.
I respect you enough to say you're my player. I'm the GM. I'm telling a story you're supposed to enjoy. You're helping me
Right.
build this story.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I actually had a player who said, "Hey, I don't like spiders,"
Right.
but we were playing Tomb of the Spider Queen,
Oh no.
so I changed up the entire campaign because they
Oh my
joined us
God.
late. I
Right.
changed up
Yeah.
the entire thing because like spiders are a big, you know, trigger warning for me. I
Right.
don't like them. They scare me. Like, you know what? No problem. So
So,
they face scorpions.
yeah.
Anytime it said spider, scorpion.
Right. Fair enough.
Or
So,
goblin or something else because
right.
someone came to me and shared in confidence to me as their GM, this actually gives me anxiety.
Hmm.
All right, no problem. We need more GMs like that. Like I'm sure if
Right.
you were running a game with your players and one of them came to you was like, I don't like uh bugs.
Right.
You wouldn't include them in your game.
No,
Like I had a player who was afraid of
absolutely not.
worms.
I mean, weird, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they were afraid of worms. I didn't
Yeah.
ask. It was a one
Yeah.
shot
No.
for a
Yeah.
charity stream. Like just no
Whatever.
worms. Call
Yeah,
of
that's fine.
Cthulhu game.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I didn't include worms in the Call of Cthulhu thing that included them because I was like, all right,
Bravo, bravo, sir.
they that would traumatize them. That's not what I'm here to do.
Right. No.
It's not what any of us are here
And
to do.
also, that is hard to do in Call of Cthulhu, so I applaud you for that.
Yeah, I tried. I had to look through like 90 different things mid session. We were on a break, figure out
Right.
what to include
Right.
because they couldn't do worms, maggots, or flies. I'm like, we're in the death house.
Mm.
Crap.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually recently was involved in a game that kind of unfortunately went south because um the the person that was running it wasn't willing to uh change the antagonist that we were going to go up against to something different because I had a problem with, or have a problem with, corrupting forces, undead, and things like the Hive from Destiny 2.
Ooh.
And so they, but that was kind of their thing, was they wanted, that was like the main antagonist. And so they were like, well, I can't have you in the game then. And I'm like, well, why not? Like, why? I've told you this in confidence that this is the thing that's, you know, going on with me, and that I would still like to be involved in this game or this world or whatever. And they were like, well, f- for the quote unquote enjoyment of everyone at the table, they were kicking me from the group. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I have never kicked someone off my table for sharing something like that with me, because, like, let's say you're playing one of my games and you say,
Right,
hey, you kind of be like, Callan, this makes me uncomfortable. Let me adjust
right,
the story so
right,
we're all having fun. If
right,
one person's not having fun, to me, because I normally run with 4 to 6 players,
right,
that means I got number two, number three, and number four who might not be having fun either and are just too shy to say anything
right,
because of my
exactly,
experience.
right.
Doesn't mean you're a bad player. It means I applaud you
Thank you.
for saying, "Hey, this makes me uncomfortable."
Yeah.
So I had players tell me after one shots, "Hey, I ran my TPK theater. One person didn't tell me they were afraid of undead things like ghouls, zombies.
Right.
We ran it on stream. After the game, they told me they got sick because they faced a lot of undead. I was like,
Okay.
why didn't you tell me before the stream? I
Right.
would have
Yeah.
changed it. Their
For real.
response, I didn't want to ruin your fun.
God.
I'm the GM. I'm having fun running this world.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, that's my thing. If something about my world is bothering you, tell me and I will change that so that it doesn't bother you.
And
Like, I'm not gonna expect you to just deal with it, if you're gonna play in my world. No. I want you to have a good time and the best experience that you can with this world that I have built.
exactly.
Like, I'm not gonna sit there and make you feel bad for, wanting something to be different so that you can have a good time with it.
So many
Like,
newer players don't get that though. And I don't
I just,
understand it.
like, just tell me how I can help you enjoy this,
Mm-hmm. I
you
want
know?
I want every player I have to enjoy playing in one of my worlds.
Right, exactly.
Like my
No one,
Halloween one shot I'm writing, I had someone tell me, "Hey, clowns freak me out."
yeah,
So I didn't include clowns.
yeah, no one should feel like they have to tolerate something or be, made uncomfortable just because their GM or DM, ST, whatever, isn't willing to alter their world to make it enjoyable for them. Like, that's stupid. you know,
I don't get it. I
I
seriously
don't
don't.
either.
I've been playing this game for over 30 years and I've seen that so many times.
Right. Yeah. There are these people who are like, no, this is how it is. If you don't like it, fucking leave. And I'm like, well, okay, great. Have fun playing alone, fucker.
I, I
Like,
I've actually asked. I don't do it often. I try to. It's another question I was asked of. Have you ever asked anybody to leave your table? Which sounds like you may have in the past. I know I did. I had to ask someone to leave because they were very edge lordy
yes,
and kept bringing up topics that made other players uncomfortable.
yes.
And I was
So,
asked how I did that, and I'll be honest, I just took them aside after one game and said, "You're no longer welcome at my table."
Yep, pretty much. So the one time, actually, let me let me let me let me go back a second because I've actually had to do that twice in my time as a GM. One time, it was just basically, hey, this is not cool. I'm not telling you have to leave, but don't fucking do this shit anymore. Otherwise, I will tell you to leave. And the second time was not that same person. It was somebody else a couple years later, when I was running my Exalted game. And it wasn't just one person that I fucking had to pull aside and stop the game and be like, hey, what the fuck? No, there were two people who were actively disrupting the game because one of them could not keep their TTRPG, quote unquote, friendly rivalry bullshit to, outside of game or other people's games that are okay with it being there. And so so it's fine if you have a friendly rivalry with somebody, but it needs to not disrupt the game. If at any point it disrupts the game, that is no longer a friendly rivalry. That is active disruption. And so I did something that I never do during session. I used my man voice very loudly to get everyone's attention and said, knock this shit off right now.
You dad voice them. That's what we call that back east.
And
Get on,
I looked,
kids.
yeah, I looked at the two of them who were now looking at me in abject horror because they'd never heard that voice come out of me before, and said to the two of them, look, I don't fucking care what the fuck this shit's about. If you're gonna fucking do this shit in the middle of my fucking game, both of you take yourselves out of it right now.
And
And
that's
and
legit.
yeah, and fucking one of them, the slightly more unreasonable of the two, um got real fucking huffy and picked his dice and his character up and left. And I'm like, fucking good. Get out of here.
You don't need that.
Yeah. And fucking so as soon as he left, I looked at everybody else and I was like, shall we continue?
When
Or do we need to take a break for a minute?
I used to
And
play at a bar, and we had to do that.
and everybody was like, we need like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, all right, fine.
When you
Because again, nobody had ever heard me use that voice. They had heard other voices come out of me because that's what I do as a GM. I give things voices, but they had never heard the mature, assertive man voice.
they hadn't heard the OP Blair.
Right, yeah. Yes, hi. I have a very booming voice, and that's why I mask that shit because I fucking hate it.
I
But
I I once had to, because uh, I was doing a charity one shot, and the players were getting out of hand, and they never heard me. Like you, if you've seen my videos, I talk very calm, and I don't really raise my voice. They never heard me raise my voice before. We were doing a live charity one shot at an event where the event makers set up all the audio and everything. Players were getting out of hand, and I slammed my hand down on the table and used my dad voice and just said, "Listen, you will get back on task. We are doing a charity event." And everyone just puts their hands in their laps. Yes, sir.
And that's
Like,
how you do that.
like this
Like
is
sometimes you gotta. Like,
This is a charity event for God's sake. We're not
right,
trying to we're not having fun like just for fun's sake. We're raising money.
right.
And I was busy like running a game. Also, I was an event organizer and I was looking at my phone to check the chat for donations.
Hmm.
Like I got like a million things going on and you kids being idiots and trying to fight each other is not helping
Kids.
my case any.
Oh my God. No, I've totally been in that situation where I've fucking just had to been like, yeah, just
Where
slam.
yeah, where
Listen.
you got to sometimes.
Yeah, you do. You gotta lay down the hammer sometimes. Otherwise, people start ignoring you
Oh,
as the GM.
another question I got asked: what was your favorite NPC you ever made?
Okay. So I don't make evil NPCs very often. Um, but there was this one NPC that I made for my fourth edition D&D game. A moon elf by the name of Calith Dark Lily. He was an ardent that was originally from Eberron, but the Shadow Network had experimented on him, and he was thrown to Toril for some reason. I can't remember what exactly I had his origin as, but I have his sheet somewhere in storage. But he had a split personality that was there was one personality that was basically pretty reasonable, uh, fairly docile, well-spoken, very calm individual. But the other side of him was basically the Joker.
Ooh.
um, he enjoyed chasing people with his face step. And actually, no, he was an Eladrin. I apologize. He was an Eladrin Ardent because he had face step, and only the Eladrin have that. Um, and so he would chase people with that before he killed them.
Ooh. I like that.
So, and he had, I, I had this perfect, like, absolute cold serial killer murder laugh that he would do.
Can we hear it? If we can.
um, um, let me see. Um, let me see if I can go back in my repertoire here, and it was something kind of like a.
See, that reminds me of the OG Joker, Jack
Mhm.
Nicholson, or
Yeah,
what was his name? Caesar Pablo from the '60s Batman movie.
yeah, from the '60s Batman.
That that
Yeah,
that's Jack or Caesar kind of laugh there. It's not over
yeah,
the top.
no,
It's just the right amount of I'm going to make you suffer.
yes, yes. I am going to terrify you before you expire. Yes, that
that
was
that that is perfect.
that was the point behind Caliph. And he was for an evil campaign, and so that was basically why I made him in the first place. Um, there were already evil people running around, and so I'm like, well, I have to have somebody more evil than everyone else.
I love the thought process there. Nope, there's evil people. I need to step up.
Yeah, that was basically the idea behind that. I'm like, well, there's a Drow Arachnomancer, which I had to completely make that subclass for Wizard or Warlock. I can't remember now, but it was basically a Drow conversion for making spidery versions of all of their spells. Um, and let's see. There was a drow assassin. There was a human necromancer, which we didn't. So the party didn't know she was a necromancer at first.
Hmm.
They thought she was like a wizard. She did.
Okay,
They.
I like that.
um, the party didn't find out until much later that she was actually a necromancer that worshipped Vecna. um. Oh. And let's see. What was there was a fighter. I can't remember what their deal was, and then I think there was a sorcerer or no, was there a sorcerer? I can't remember now. Um, Regardless, half of the party was NPCs because I was running for a small group at the time.
That's still really cool, though.
Yeah, and so like again, so the introduction that the party had to Caliph was um it was at night and they were camped out in the woods, and the first thing they heard was this voice from the darkness telling them that this was not a good idea. Meaning where they've camped for the night. and then his laughter as he basically popped up in the middle of their camp and
Oh, that makes me happy. That makes my old GM heart happy. I've been playing for 30 years, so when like I hear like ideas like that, it's like
yeah,
yes, yes. I
yeah,
did just tag you in the Discord. Tell
yeah,
people to have you on the shows
yes, thank you. um
because th- this has been a delight.
yeah, and so again, I don't play evil characters very often because it kind of makes me feel kind of gross. I'm just full out gonna say that playing evil makes me feel gross inside.
It's that like you have to scrub your insides feeling.
Yes, yes, exactly, yes.
I get
Yeah.
it. I
Oh god,
whenever I
so
play a
gross.
like a pure evil BBEG, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, I'm gonna take a long soak in some Epsom
Yep,
salt, and
yep. I need a scrub.
I'm gonna use my loofah and some peppermint soap to get this dirty feeling off
Yep,
because I'm not
absolutely.
evil.
Yep,
I'm a nice person mostly.
exactly.
I
Like,
mean,
yes, I have some issues, but like, who
yeah,
doesn't?
I mean, like this morning or tomorrow when I do Follow Friday, which you're definitely gonna be a part of, while I describe to people how just awesome it was chatting with you. I'm gonna just be like, I'm awake now and I'm in a good mood, and it's everyone else's. It's now the world's problem.
Right, right. Yep, I've been there.
some for some reason I've been allowed to be awake. It's everyone's problem now. Prepare to
Right,
get hyped and be positive.
right. Absolutely.
Because I actually used to do that back in the day when I was on Twitter a lot. I would do what I would call hype days, where I would
Mhm.
like as you saw, I pick a person and they're my person.
Right. Yes,
Unfortunately, tomorrow you're gonna be my person.
that's fine. I'm okay with this.
So anytime I see a like when people because I want my follow Fridays, Jim and I were talking about it. We want our follow Fridays to be like share someone else and then yourself.
Right.
Like I did for Whip Wednesday, where I was sharing other people's work, not my own. It's
Right.
like share someone else's work than your own work. So now I put your Twitter handle in my it's their problem now. That's actually what I call that workbook.
Fair enough.
It's their problem now. Because I'm
Fair
just
enough.
gonna hype the hell out of you tomorrow. So
Fantastic. I appreciate that.
I would love to have you in one of our future streams where we do what I plan on doing is I plan on getting a bunch of, because I'm neurodivergent as well.
Mm.
I want to get some neurodivergent DMs together
Mm.
because we come up with these weirdly great ideas
We do.
and people ignore them half the time as like
Yeah.
and I don't mean to harp on the fact I'm disabled, but disabled neurodivergent people tend to ignore my ideas of, oh, you should do this with your world, this with your world, because I'm not a
Right.
quote unquote big name. I'm not
Right.
Matt Mercer.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he's a very pleasant fellow though. Got to meet him a few
Oh, I've
times.
heard. So I've heard.
Held the door for me when I was using a walker at uh, PAX East once while we were going to a panel together. And I walked up, he's like, "Are you okay, man? You doing
Right.
all right?" It's like I understand why you're calling me man, but my pronouns are they, him.
Ah.
But thank you for checking on me. No, I'm not okay. Put up my chair for me. Please sit
Right.
down. Like, who are you? I didn't know who he was. I don't watch Critical
Right.
Role, but he's like, Matt
Right.
Mercer, nice to meet you. It's like, oh, you were on the sheet. All I knew about him was this is a guy I'm supposed to be recording with at
Right.
this meeting for a PAX Unplugged. I don't know. I know him now,
Right. Yeah.
but I didn't six
I was
years
not a
ago.
I was not aware that he would that their pronouns were they them. That was news to me.
Yeah, I saw it. It was like, good on him for announcing
Right. Yeah.
that. And
I must have missed that
I
somewhere.
corrected myself by talking to him
Right.
because of that. Like if I ever have to
Right.
like just like hype him up for things because he's doing stuff aside from CR.
Right.
He still does voice acting. He's actually
Right.
in the new Mortal Kombat animated movie.
Ah.
I was like, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
Right.
Now I know. And so I hyped
Right.
it, but like I used the proper pronouns.
Right.
Because if people don't tell me, I don't know.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like Gemma keeps reminding me I need to add mine to my Twitter profile that I'm they him because
Okay.
I don't identify as a gender really.
Fair
I
enough.
am I've been dead so many times. I'm just an amalgamous being of I exist.
Fair.
I hype people because they deserve it. I will keep hyping them. Before
As we should.
before we wrap things, one question that I always love asking people, well, two, because there's a D&D question and a food question. Does
Okay.
pineapple belong on pizza?
No, it fucking does not. And I will die on this hill.
We had an argument back in the day. This was an argument that went on the TTRPG community, like back in like 2011 to 16. There was a
Mhm.
war going on.
Yeah.
Between those who were like, yes, it does, and those who know it doesn't.
I will 100% die on this hill. Pineapple is a fruit. It does not belong on a savory pizza.
Savory pizza. What about a dessert pizza?
I hate pineapple in general.
So well, I had a Hawaiian dessert pizza once. It had cherries, chocolate, pineapple, and kiwi. Excuse me,
Mm.
on it. It wasn't bad, but they overcooked the pineapple, so it was like shriveled.
Ah.
And like, you killed the pineapple.
Bleh.
You add the fruit after you cook the cookie. Me when I eat fruit, I expect my fruit to be juicy, not dried out like a
Right.
raisin.
Like a piece of sausage that's been cooked.
Yeah, like not even just cooked, overcooked. I
Right.
just looked at it like I can't eat this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So what's the other question?
Your favorite campaign setting? Not it doesn't have to be official. It can be one of your own. What is your favorite setting?
Um, hmm. I would honestly have to say it depends on the genre I'm looking for at the time.
Hmm.
Because so as far as superheroes go, like superhero fantasy, modern fantasy kind of stuff, I much prefer DC Heroes, how they did that. That's probably my favorite for that. Um, but for more traditional fantasy, like Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance or whatever, I would probably have to say, out of all of the editions of D&D that I've played, fourth edition is probably my favorite so far. But I've also only very briefly dabbled in fifth edition so far.
Hmm.
I'm writing stuff for it, but I haven't played anything yet. I've aside from that one session that went nowhere. Um, so but for like space fantasy, I love the Star Wars D20, the Saga system.
Oh, that's an amazing
Oh my
system.
god. I cannot say enough good about that system.
Oh,
Like,
we gotta play it together. I don't care if it's on a recording or stream or whatever. Like that system is amazing.
yes,
I
absolutely.
I made a Millennium Falcon once for that system.
I have I have a Revanite Sith OC waiting to be made in the Saga system.
So what I'm hearing is we're gonna play this game. Like, we're gonna play this game together, and I can get a few more players who respect what a good system it is.
Right. Yes, exactly. I would hope so.
Because like we could do just how we riff off each other, how we've been talking. We've gone longer than any roundtable I've ever done, just chatting.
Right. Absolutely.
And like, 'cause they're only 30 minutes, and people are like, "Oh, I'm done. I can't
Right.
talk anymore." Us, we're just like we're building off each other.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a we got to do a stream of this, just
Yes,
or
absolutely.
VOD. I will
Right.
set minis. I will go full on Star Wars nerd.
Oh my God.
I have designs to make a lightsaber, so.
Well, I look forward to that.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you though. I just got super excited. It's like, oh my god, somebody else who is a fan of it.
Yeah, no. And so, but yeah, those are definitely my top three as far as like favorite systems that I've ever played in.
They're
Um,
they're amazing systems too.
they really are. Um, I I understand that the DC Heroes one, not whole lot of people know about because it wasn't that popular even back when it was new.
96, 97. People were.
No, the Mayfair system
Oh no,
is from like
that
that
was
was
in
80s.
yeah, like that was 80. That was the early 80s, early
Yeah, it was
mid,
the early 80s.
and people
And
they became West End Games after a
yeah,
while, but
yeah,
people
they
just
became yeah,
they
but they
became it.
lost. So what I didn't like about that was the fact that when that happened, it really seemed like they lost something
Mhm.
that was part of Mayfair. Like I don't really quite I can't put my finger on what exactly they lost when they made that changeover, but
Uh,
the
two,
new the
two other
DC
lead designers.
well, yeah, okay, fair enough. Um, the the DC Universe game that West End put out was just terrible. It was soulless, it was hollow,
it,
like it
it, they tried doing their D6 thing to a D10 system.
and it didn't work. It
It
just didn't work.
it really didn't. And that's what bothered me, I think, about it.
Yeah.
They tried making a D10 a D6.
Yeah, and you can't go backwards.
No. At a D10 it worked. Marvel D6 didn't work because you were too limited.
Right.
Give
Yeah.
us a D10, even a
Yeah.
D12, I would say, gave you more.
Mm,
I think D10 was that perfect midpoint
yeah, D10, 2D,
because
like you need the 2D10. Any like if you have one or you go down or like up in a denomination, it tends to get a little complicated, I think.
I actually might convert one of my systems I'm working on now to D10 just because I think it might be better.
So one of the systems that I was looking at a while ago that really disappointed me that it was D6 was this game called Light, and it was basically TTRPG Destiny.
Ooh.
And I was like, yes, I want this, but I don't want D6.
Yeah, like
Like, sounds terrible.
I understand why though.
Right. It's
But
simple
it
and it
but D6 doesn't work for everything.
no.
A system that's similar to that, I feel like needs a D10 kind of balance
Yeah.
because
You
the
yeah.
game runs off of percentile.
Mm-hmm.
If your
Yeah.
game runs off percentile, you kind of need D10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. That's again, like you say, if you're involving percentile, you can't have odd denominations.
You got to go D10, D20. That's it.
Yeah, yep,
Decide
that's it.
and run with it.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Um, the one exception that I would maybe have to that would maybe be D
mm,
because you can at least mostly like I don't know. Like I said, that one's kind of
I
iffy.
yeah, like Blades in the Dark does a good job of it though.
Okay,
I will give them that. They make
I
a
like that.
good D6 system because it's based around the percentile of D6. Most
Mhm.
people base their percentiles off D100.
Right.
And I could see, like, I'm making a Gemini, or actually making a kid system.
Hmm.
I could see doing D10, 2D10 on that just so it also teaches cooperation and math.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I could see updating that from 2D6 to 2D10. The one last question I gotta ask because I've gotten so many Facebook messages about it. What is your favorite, absolute favorite TTRPG of all time?
All time? Uh, uh, third edition World of Darkness.
Ooh, Third Ed was great.
Third ed was the best. Like, I will die on that hill. Fourth ed, they really gutted and ruined everything.
Fourth Ed's the reason I left Twitter because they introduced non-con roles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not okay with that.
Yeah. It was not good. But yeah, third ed World of Darkness definitely is my favorite out of everything that I've run or played or watched.
It's
Simply
such a
because
good system.
it's so solid. Like, yes, it has problems because of one, when it was made, and two, the people that were making it at the time.
And
Um,
three, shitty GMs.
right, shitty GMs that don't understand how to omit things. Um, so yeah, I can understand people having problems with it, and I also understand why they had those problems with it.
Oh yeah.
Um, but disregarding that stuff, well, actually, no, don't do that because that's bad.
Let's take away the bad stuff from the system
Right. And
because
just focus on the good parts of the system because
those
the
bad
way,
things were supplementals too.
yeah, most of them were in supplements, like the Black Dog publishing label for White Wolf.
Yeah.
Uh,
They
a lot
weren't
of
official.
no.
They were third party for third.
Mhm.
Let's give the creators some slack. The guys who
Yeah,
actually
that
the,
was.
the guys and gals who did the real work.
Mhm. Yeah, the Black Dog, like the Bali book and the Zemitzi book. Jesus Christ, I can't even.
Mm.
Ugh.
We'll have a now I guys we got to do an entire talk about those because they irked me too.
Yeah.
They tried getting me to hype them at PAX East once,
No,
and I read
absolutely
them as
not.
a playtester. I was like, nope,
No, absolutely not. Like I would
uh
never.
uh-uh, uh,
Especially not the Bali book.
I
Like
backed away slowly.
the Zemitzi book, okay, maybe I can.
It had some cultural issues.
Yes, but the Bali book was just
Oh God,
terrible.
that book
Just
is burned into my brain,
yeah, yeah.
and I wish it weren't. But I'm an
I
eidetic memory.
same. I mean, I kind of feel the same way about the Assamites in general, as far as World of Darkness goes. That was a really, and the Ravnos. Those were
Hmm.
really problematic, and I wish they had gone about those differently. But
That
they
they
insist
could have.
they could have, but they chose not to, and that was a choice that they
That
made.
that was their choice, and we as fans decided to say, you know what, we're not going to support you guys if you're not going to be decent human beings.
Right. Yeah. And I firmly believe that fourth ed happened because they wanted to fix all of those problems that,
Fourth
were.
Ed had some really nice books, though.
It did. It had some
It.
really nice books, but they totally destroyed everything that happened before.
They rebooted the world.
Yeah, it was, and like, if they
They
had said, so here's my problem with that. If they had said that's what they were going to do, I would have been fine with that. But that is not what they made it sound like they were going to do.
they did a Marvel. We have a problem. Let's reboot.
Right. And that, but what they had said they were going to do was they were Gehenna happened, and then, the world was going to go forward from there.
That didn't happen though.
But that didn't happen. That's not what they did.
They
That's
just
not what they did at
continued
all.
on.
Yeah,
They plowed forward. Like,
yeah,
no. And then they went into very bad areas of plowing
right.
forward.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
there
I interrupted you though.
Yeah. And so there and the final Knights books were supposed to be,
Mm,
the Gehenna thing going forward. And I'm like, well, that's great, but that doesn't give people like a way forward, really. It just gives a place to wrap up. Like,
that
what if we want to continue forward in this world after it's been, fucking re
and
re
and
redeemed or whatever,
yeah,
like,
they don't give you any room to homebrew.
no, they don't.
They
It's
used
all,
to,
yeah,
and since it's not White Wolf anymore, I forget the company. Since a new company took over, they're like, no, this is our world.
yeah, Onyx Path
I think
Publishing.
that's it.
Yeah. Um but yeah, I've looked at their website too and how they do things, and I'm like, wow, this is really
Kind of
not this.
shitty.
This is not how I remember this, but okay,
But
you know.
this is where we're gonna wrap it because
Yes,
we've been. I didn't realize we've been chatting for almost 90 minutes.
yes.
This has been fun. I want you on again, Blair.
Thank you. I would be
Like
welcome to come back.
when I threw up in Hope's Discord, like if anybody has a podcast, they need Blair on it.
I
So I know
appreciate that.
we got a lot of podcasts who do interviews and just reviews, and I love your characters.
Thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate that.
in the description below this video, you can find all of Blair's stuff. I'm telling you, check it out because it's awesome. Anything you would like to plug? Any appearances you're making soon that I should be checking out? Because my
Uh,
schedule's pretty open.
So, I do not have a confirmed uh date as of yet, but I have been approached by roleplay chat. I,
Oh,
I believe is what they were. I have to look at my Twitter really quick to make sure that I'm not.
take your time. You're
Yes,
good.
yes, roleplay chat has uh approached me and been like, "Hey, you should come on." I'm like, "Great."
You
And so,
should.
but and I fill out the thing, and so I just haven't heard back yet. So whenever they get back to me is whenever that will happen. Also, I am working on a supplement for fifth edition called Monsters with Jobs.
I.
Um,
That's actually where we started talking.
yes. And currently, I'm still in the first draft stages. So it's probably at least 6 months to a year away. Uh,
what that means is she's gonna send it to my buddy TK, and he's gonna help her out. He's a copy editor. He'll do it for free.
oh, well, we'll see. But yes, that's the only thing that I have left to plug, aside from obviously my own Twitter, at the opblair.com or at the opblair. I'm used to giving like my email for stuff, and so um, but yeah, follow me or don't. It's your choice. I'm not your mom.
No, but I might be your dad, so you should follow Blair. And you're gonna find their links below, and you're also gonna find a link to where Blair and I chat most often to the Hope for Discord
Yeah.
or Hope for TTRPGs because we discuss video games there because we both have the same interest in video games. I noticed you were
Yes.
talking about uh, DC versus Marvel, and I'm like, why I missed those games? That's why you mentioned three. I was like, oh, that game sucked.
Yes.
It was not a good game.
No.
They took out so much, and then the online aspect. Good luck
Right,
getting a
yeah.
match.
Yeah. Because
I
there was nobody playing it. So,
yeah, it was brand new. I bought it for $60 brand new. I
yep.
couldn't get a match the first day
Nope.
or the
Servers
first
were down.
month, and they're actually down again. I saw a friend of mine tweeted it like servers still down. Like
I,
it's been 6 months.
right.
I retired IT engineer. I could fix that. But we are gonna wrap things up here, and I want you all to check out Blair. Give them a follow. Check out their Ko-Fi. Get their characters. And as always, hydrate. Take meds if you got to. Eat some good food. And be kind to each other. Blair is one of the kindest people I know. They are very kind to everyone they interact with, I've seen. And they also let me in when there are assholes about. So that's a good thing. Because sometimes I miss that.
Yep.
We're signing off. Thank you all for tuning in to the first retro horror special of Tabletop Roundtable. Maybe next time we will have a couple more folks, just life got in the way.